Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. We're diving right into it. So in the year of 2016, when Donald Trump was running for president, he ran with the slogan, "Lock her up." We all knew who he was talking about. He was talking about Hillary Clinton, about her former crimes. Well, then he won. And as people started asking, "Mr. President, why aren't you indicting her?" And I remember when Trump stood on stage and said, I don't want to do that to the United States. I don't want to divide the nation even more because we're so divided. He said, she lost, we won. Let's move forward and try to make America a much better country. Well, then in 2020, they did what they did to Donald Trump and to all of us, his voters. They rigged an election. On this show, we speak truth to power and we call things as they are. They rigged it. Well, then, between 2021 and 2024, they indicted Trump. First time ever a former president was indicted. They indicted his team. How could I just forget his name? Steve Bannon from the War Room. Threw him in prison. And now Trump is back. This is not the Trump of the first presidency who says, we shouldn't indict politicians. He's indicting freaking everybody, ladies and gentlemen. And this is absolutely massive. Do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from? And, ladies and gentlemen, first indictment. Breaking. Justice Department to announce charges against Democrat Representative LaMonica McLever for assaulting ICE agents. This indictment is coming on Friday. Alina Habba, next Friday in a week, Alina Habba already said she is going to be indicted. By the way, I see somebody just wrote in the comments, I can't wait for Letitia James. Pam Bondi gave us an update and they are building the case against her as we speak. The Justice Department is set to announce charges against Democrat Representative LaMonica McLever as early as today after she assaulted ICE agents at the Delaney Hall ICE facility last Friday. Representative McLever is expected to turn herself in this afternoon, the Jersey Globe reported. The Justice Department plans to bring charges against Representative LaMonica McLever, Democrat from Newark, following a scuffle with federal immigration agents last week at Newark's Delaney Hall Detention Center. Three sources speaking on the condition of anonymity confirmed to the New Jersey Globe. This is what she's getting indicted for. She, if I'm not mistaken, she's the one wearing the red. Look at her right there. Look, she's hitting. She's pushing. She's shoving the ICE agents. Look, right there, right there, right there. Let's watch it again. See that, ladies and gentlemen? Getting indicted. She's cooked. But now we got more stuff happening. Let's move on to this one. James Comey. I reported yesterday and today on what James Comey did. Now James Comey is being interviewed by the DOJ, by the FBI, by the Secret Service. Breaking. James Comey to be escorted by Secret Service to D.C. field office for interview over the Trump assassination post. James Comey will be interviewed by the United States Secret Service on Friday afternoon at the Washington field office, according to CNN. Comey is under investigation for calling for Trump to be killed in a cryptic Instagram post. Quote, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk," Comey said in his caption. 8647. 8647 right there means kill Trump. According to CNN, James Comey is not in custody. He is voluntarily going for the interview with Secret Service. Former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be escorted by United States Secret Service agents to their Washington field office on Friday afternoon, according to a law enforcement source. Comey will be interviewed by agents investigating a social media post he posted Thursday showing shells in the sand on the beach spelling out 8647. Now, my prediction, he will be criminally charged with something. It's going to happen. You can't threaten the life of a United States president and get away with it. Let's move on. Here's more good news. Kash Patel is keeping a major promise. Promises made, promises kept. FBI Director Kash Patel announces he is shutting down the infamous agency's current headquarters in D.C.
Look, the FBI is 38,000 when we're fully manned, which we're not. In the National Capital Region, in the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., there were 11,000 FBI employees. That's like a third of the workforce. A third of the crime doesn't happen here. So we're taking 1,500 of those folks and moving them out. Every state's getting a plus up. And I think when we do things like that, we inspire folks in America to become intel analysts and agents and say, we want to go work at the FBI because we want to go fight violent crime and we want to get sent out into the country to do it. And that's what we're doing in the next 3, 6, 9 months. We're going to do that hard. And, you know, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but I'm going to announce it on your show anyway. This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce. And we want the workforce.
You just gave up a big nugget.
We want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
That's amazing. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is freaking amazing. Now, I want to show you this. While Kash Patel is doing something amazing, Rudy Giuliani brings up something very, very strange. Are you reading this? Rudy Giuliani says Comey's call for Trump's assassination raises red flags about his daughter and son-in-law are working under Pam Bondi's Department of Justice. Why is there almost every day I read something disappointing about our Attorney General Pam Bondi? Still no Epstein clients. Former, disgraced FBI director threatens Trump's life. And now his daughter and son-in-law are working for Pam Bondi. How are they not fired? Let's read this. Former New York mayor and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani has sounded the alarm over a, quote, dangerous escalation by former FBI Director James Comey. Giuliani claims Comey's recent actions, including a cryptic social media post interpreted as a call for President Trump's assassination, raises serious questions about the influence of Comey's family within the Department of Justice under Attorney General Pam Bondi. On Thursday, okay, we know that, many, including top Trump administration officials, saw this as a threat to Trump, the 47th president. The FBI department, okay, we keep going. Okay, here's what Rudy Giuliani says. James Comey posted a message for the assassination of the 47th president. This raises serious concerns about his daughter and son-in-law, both employed under Pam Bondi at the DOJ. Why? Why is it always we're finding something out crazy about Pam Bondi, ladies and gentlemen? Why? Now, I do want to give you have one update for you. Everything else is good news, right? People are getting indicted. Finally, we're seeing some changes. But then we have our conservative Supreme Court blocking Trump from deporting Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm against packing the Supreme Court. I don't like it. I don't like that idea. I think we shouldn't be done. But Trump, what if Trump packed the Supreme Court with super conservatives? How do you feel about that? The United States Supreme Court on Friday temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deporting dangerous Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. In an unsigned order, the High Court said the Trump DOJ did not give the Venezuelans enough time to challenge their removals. That is the point of the Alien Enemies Act. You catch them, you arrest them, you deport them. Quote, under these circumstances, notice roughly 24 hours before removal, devoid of information about how to exercise due process rights to contest that removal surely does not pass muster. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Did they get due process when they came here illegally? Did all the people that have suffered because of illegal aliens, did they get due process? And I'll tell you something. You won't read about this on the news, but if you do a little Google research, you'll find it in local news. A 24-year-old Ukrainian man who came here when the war began in Spokane, Washington, raped a 7-year-old girl. The reason I know this is because I used to live up in Washington State. There's like 40,000 brand new Ukrainians there. They just came there overnight. And I don't know what others have done, but we know at least one of them raped a little girl and had a bunch of disgusting images and videos of children on his phone. If you just Google search, Ukrainian in Spokane, Washington, does that to a little girl, you'll find it. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they're like, well, this kind of stuff happens all the time. I said, yes, it does. But this one could have been prevented easily. Nobody touched that girl until this coward got here. As an immigrant myself, ladies and gentlemen, and then let me be very clear, I'm an immigrant. That's why I fight for immigration law in this country. It took my family 5 years to get here. It took us 5 years. When my parents started the paperwork, I was just over a year old. By the time we got here, it was a few more months, and then I turned 7. So the first 5 years of my life, we were in the process of coming here. We got vetted. We got interviewed. So many times. I believe we did 4 interviews within 5 years, and we had to drive from Kyrgyzstan to Moscow, Russia, and back. It's a 6-day drive. A family of 6 that is very poor. We couldn't afford hotels. So we lived in that car. We slept in the car. Everything in the car. But we got vetted. We got vetted. And another thing I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in the 90s, if you wanted to come to the United States, during your application process, they would ask you Bible questions. And if you couldn't answer them, you would get rejected. My aunt from my mother's side, who's a non-Christian, they were denied, even though they have no criminal background. They have no felony or misdemeanor convictions, none of that. They failed to answer the Bible questions, and they got denied coming to America. In the 90s, they asked you Bible questions. And if you got them wrong, you were denied entry to the United States. You were not allowed to move to the United States. Now, you could be illiterate. Yeah, everyone, come on in. As an immigrant, I say these immigration laws need to be tougher than anything ever before. We need to preserve this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I appreciate you guys. I got to get going. Subscribe, smash that thumbs up. Share this with a friend or two. I love you guys. Have a great night.